Hello! My name is Callista, and welcome back to Roottreemania. In the last episode, I got very annoyed. Because Miracle Roottree was being... He was being very unpleasant. I can't use the words I would like to use because I'm so early on in the episode, but he was being a not-so-nice individual. I do not like you, sir. Okay, the Roottree family picnic. The rapper 5Ps appeared on the cover of News Time holding this Polaroid of his mother, Joanna, when she was Zach Norden's secretary at a company picnic. She claims that Joanna and Guy Hudson, also in the photo, were having an affair that led to his birth. Okay, I'm like, anyone in the background? Can we look up the Roottree family picnics? No, nothing. I'm very aware that we have an extra image for Zach, and I do want to find it. Yeah, is your real name David? And you've just changed it to Felix. Because Felix Fellows, you know, it rhymes better. So this spouse was, Riley and Joanna. So, Riley. Riley Fellows. And then... this, you wouldn't be a Fellows, though. This would be Joanna. Cricket. Oh, okay. I'm eager to see who you are, Cricket. Joanna. Joanna something. And you were... Wait a minute. Always use a person's most recent occupation. She was a cashier. I'm pretty sure she was a... I'm all over the place. Okay, it would be in here. Yeah, she was working in a movie rental store where she worked the register, so she was a cashier as her most recent job. I just had a thought, like, deceased isn't an option. No, because deceased isn't a profession. You were a cashier. And we can put that in for you. Okay. We do have... We have stuff that we could go into, but again, I'm inclined... but where are you? You're right there. So, Roottreemania and Anonymom. Roottreemania immediately followed the announcement that a rapper going by 5Ps was actually a Roottree. Collectively, popular culture seemed to focus on the Roottree family and 5Ps for a few weeks before everything felt oversaturated and society moved on. Because of the 5P saga, an underlying throughline to how pop culture treated Roottreemania was an excuse for everyday people to claim they were also Roottrees. Daytime talk shows had I'm a Secret Roottree episodes, late night hosts and guests made jokes about other lost members of the family, and there was a widely shared website where you could fill in your own name to find out if you were a secret Roottree. When you submitted your name, it simply said no with an image of Clark Rafferty LaRue giving you the finger. Roottreemania lasted only a few weeks, just long enough for 6 pieces to re-enter the charts and to trigger new printings of other Roottree-related media. This included Lauren's diaries, VHS releases of Gwyn's old movies, as well as countless other unauthorized biographies, most of which seemed to capitalize on the Roottree sisters Carl and Brenda. These re-releases were too late to successfully capitalize on or extend the craze. As a result, most of them were failures. and countless novelty shirts had variations of "I'm a secret Roottree" became immediately unfashionable, though some people still wear them ironically. Okay. I'm thinking if there are unauthorized biographies... Okay, this website you used to initially place Raina, Rose and Riley is still up, though instead of the cheery pink background with purple text, it's now a more traditional black text on a white background. The young webmaster has turned the site into a memorial for the sisters and their father. It seems like she did end up getting her ears pierced like Rose after all. Regardless, there's no relevant information, just a picture of the girls with a sad MIDI piano playing in the background. From other higher profile sites, you find that a charity has been set up in the girl's name, the Roottree Sisters Fashion Scholarship. Yeah, and that brings us to that. I'm thinking, can we, Okay, many websites and news articles eulogize Carl Roottree along with his daughters and his wife Brenda. As far as you can tell, Carl and Brenda Roottree never had any marital issues. You do come across an article about a Kristen Valdez who claims to have been Carl's high school sweetheart before Brenda. She does not make any claim about having had a child with him, she just appeared to be paid to talk about his early life. Most of it's boring, but she says they met when he was sent to a private school near her hometown and broke up when he graduated and moved back to Butler County. Anything? Yeah, okay, there's nothing more there. Okay, so this hasn't been updated, so it's irrelevant. Okay. Got it. Alright, and then the last thing we had was Anonymom. It was, yeah, Anonymom and Jane Doe Roottree. Anonymom was the second high-profile case after Felix Fellows of a potential new Roottree being added to the Clancy Trust. Instead of claiming herself a Roottree, however, she claimed she'd slept with Guy Hudson and that her daughter was a Roottree. The accusation came during the height of Roottreemania and began with a brief TV interview. She appeared in the shadows with a disguised voice and promoted an article about herself in News Time. In the TV interview and the article, she referred to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree. The name Anonymom was not self-inflicted. It seemed to spring up organically because nobody knew how else to refer to her. The day after the Newstime article, Sam Madsen publicly supported Anonymom due to some parts of the story she found particularly credible. With the momentum from Sam's endorsement, Anonymom went on media blitz. Ultimately, this backfired. As more details came out, people became skeptical of her story due to the extreme similarity to 5P's. Her accusation even included many of the same details as his mother's story. This included her job, secretary, and the time period, late 70s. After funneling the 5P story so publicly, the Roottrees were more prepared to handle all Clancy Trust-related cases. Within a week, a DNA test proved that Anonymom's daughter could not be related to the Roottrees. This was announced at a joint press conference with lawyers representing both Anonymom and the Rootrees. Each party ensured their respective clients provided accurate samples. Immediately after the negative results were released, many of those who had already been skeptical felt vindicated. Others, who had built up hope that history could repeat itself after 5Ps, felt duped. Many people suspected the whole affair had been a hoax to gain fame and money. Many demanded that Anonymom be held accountable, and some people even began to attempt to track down her true identity. The Roottree company felt pressured to put out a second statement to try and curb some of the backlash, even going so far as to say that it was scientifically proven that Jane Doe Roottree is not a Roottree. This doesn't mean that her mother and Guy Hudson were not involved in an affair. She had every right to make her claim, as it has been verified that her stories about Guy Hudson were not exaggerations. Please leave their family alone. Many people claim this high-profile anticlimax and public backlash was the beginning of the end for Roottreemania, since much of the fun was the shared fascination about secret Roottrees. Others think that, like any fad, it just ran its course naturally. Regardless, this was the final notable event related to the release of 6P's, and things soon went back to normal. Jane Doe Roottree has already been eliminated as a potential new Roottree by the company's lawyers, who are the ones verifying your work. Anonymom's affair does not appear on your updated tree. Okay, however, we're still being pointed to this. So I think it's worthwhile So this is Anonymom. Okay. Claimed she'd slept with Guy Hudson. Jane Doe Roottree. So she also did an article with News Time. Okay, let's look that up while we're here. Okay. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time holding a picture of her daughter, Jane Doe Roottree. The first and only mention of the phrase Anonymom in News Time came the week after, when they issued an apology for featuring her in the first place. A summary of the initial cover article has been added to your evidence. Okay. So I'm like, can we... Yeah, we can't. Here we go again, another claim to the famous name. It was determined through a DNA test that Anonymom's daughter was not a Roottree. This article, which did refer to her daughter as Jane Doe Roottree, but did not coin the phrase Anonymom, came before all that, right around the time of her first TV interview. This is a summary. An anonymous woman appeared on the cover of News Time shortly after 5Ps was confirmed to be a member of the Roottree family. In a homage to the previous cover, she holds a photo of her daughter. Unlike 5Ps, she wished to remain anonymous, and both photos were obscured. The anonymous woman claimed to have had an affair with Guy Hudson while she was working as his secretary. She and another woman were hired at the same time during the transition period, while many of the secretaries that had worked under Zach Morden were already gone. She says that she and the other women were both underqualified, as neither had typewriter experience. According to other staff members interviewed, Guy had his own requirements for hiring women. Guy, you arsehole. Guy Hudson liked to throw lavish parties, and the longer he was president, the more excuses he found. The anonymous woman posits that these parties mostly seem to be an excuse to have after parties at Guy's home, featuring much more alcohol and other substances. She claimed she slept with him at one of these after parties. She confronted Guy when she found out that she was pregnant. Guy didn't seem fazed, and they came to an arrangement. He paid her a significant amount of hush money on a recurring basis under the table. She used it to move away and start a new life with her daughter. When Guy died, the money stopped coming, and she assumed things had run their course. She went back to work at the department store and hoped that nobody would ever look too closely at how she paid for her house. She told everyone that her daughter's father walked out one day and never came back. She claimed that after seeing the fantastic article in News Time, she realised that she wasn't the only one this happened to. While she never worked at the Roottree company at the same time as 5P's mother, Joanna, their stories seemed eerily similar, and she knew Felix was telling the truth right away. The article presented no tangible evidence of the anonymous woman's time at Roottree, and all of the payments were allegedly made in cash. However, using details that she provided to News Time, their reporters were able to reach out to other women hired at the same time, who also remained anonymous. They successfully fact-checked the timeline of both women and confirmed the existence of the infamous after-parties. 5P's case was strengthened, and the news story was subsequently published. Okay. I don't think there's anything I need to highlight here. I mean, it says we have no clues for this piece. Yeah, this is just very interesting. Okay. And with that is the notable Roottree list done and dusted. Okay. I'm like, I'ma just go through this quickly. Okay. I'm like, I don't know how we're gonna search for a secretary. Well, to be fair, Elizabeth was the man. I mean, we can we find the restaurant? Okay, there are a large number of Antonelli's restaurants, not because it's a chain, just because it seems to be a common name for Italian restaurants. You may need to use a more local resource if you're looking for a specific one. Well, we have, Butler County Times. Copy. Then, Paste. Okay. Antonelli's is an Italian restaurant, and it has been in Butler County Times twice. The most recent time was when it closed in 1992. The owner, Rochelle Zimmer, sold the land the building was on, and at the time of the article she was unsure if the restaurant would move to a new location or if she would retire. Many years before, there's a puff piece from Valentine's Day 1978 that asked recently married residents of Butler County how they met. Christine Garland responded. She and her husband Steve, who was a chef at Antonelli's, met years ago when she delivered produce from her mother's farm. Steve used to work extra hours just to be there during her deliveries. Although they grew apart when the restaurant switched suppliers, they reconnected by chance and eloped at the end of last year. Now she has a bun in the oven and they're both working as much as they can. She's a secretary but went back to delivering produce on the weekends, trying to save up money to move to Boston and open their own restaurant. Okay. Okay. So yeah, her mother worked on a farm. Elizabeth worked on the farm. Okay, so Christine Garland. This is in 1978. So this, You're married. We've got, you're unmarried. Do we have I'm thinking if they never divorced, we would have our place there. Because only one couple stayed married, it seemed. We'll put this under here, so I don't think you have anything to do with this, but I'll search you up just in case. So we have Christine Garland and her husband Steve. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Rochelle Zimmer. One second, can I... Okay, yeah, no, nothing there. Okay. So, Christine Garland. Oh, can I... Okay, like so. Nothing was found for Christine Garland. Is Garland your married name? So we might have a... Steve? Can we... Did they move to Boston? Oh... We don't have... Yeah, this is local. My thoughts is that if they did move to Boston and they did open up their own restaurant, we might be able to find a local piece on it. And we might even have the picture of like, couple open up new restaurant, it's doing really well, and like there's a picture of the whole family there. That's my thought. Okay. I'm thinking, let me sit on that. Let me sit on that. We have this. I think I can probably get some stuff out of this. Let's see. Who is Ruby Spratt? Ruby Spratt, like her legal company, is relatively elusive. The most complete source of information you can find from before her time with the Roottrees is from the website for a magazine owned by a major airline. She was the subject of one article from a recurring series about modern-day success stories. Ruby grew up in... This is not the first time we've had foster care mentioned. Ruby grew up in foster care, but excelled at school and earned a scholarship to study at Mid-Eastern University. There she graduated at the top of her legal class and was quickly hired as a lawyer for a prominent law firm. There are a few high-profile corporate-involved cases she was a part of. One was as a legal consultant for a class-action lawsuit against a manufacturer of steering wheel covers. Another, this was to help a local gas station chain in her hometown of Portland with the rollout of a promotion that allowed gas station customers the ability to bet on the price of gas. The blurb ends by calling her new firm a double threat. Her company's services are a cross between a traditional lawyer and a PR manager. Okay. So she grew up in foster care in Portland. You grew up in foster care, didn't you? I swear there was something about foster care somewhere. No, it was I swear. I swear down, I've said the words foster care. You moved to Portland? Felix went into foster care. I don't know what to make of that. Because that is very purposeful. We've got two characters who grew up in foster care in Portland. That is way too specific. That is way too specific. I find that suspect. Deeply suspect. Okay. Mid-Eastern University is a notable private college that advertises itself as midway between Maine and Miami. Their mascot is the Spectres, though they're not known for their sports programs as much as their education. Their legal and language departments are their pride and joy, though they also have fairly extensive computer science and robotics programs. Along with other prestigious schools that haven't quite reached the notoriety of Ivy League schools, some refer to it as a Little Ivy. The college has embraced this, calling their newspaper the Herald, which is a combination of Hedera, the scientific name for ivy, and Herald. Their website boasts that they have a historical technology museum on campus, including a still functioning computer from the 1960s that takes up a full room. They also have a printing press that they use to print one special year-end issue of the Herald each year. Can we find this online? The Herald is the school newspaper of Mideastern University. It appears to be available in your periodical archive. After a bit of research, you've discovered that its name is a combination of Hedera, the scientific name for ivy, and Herald. Okay, can we... Ruby Spratt graduated top of her class from Mideastern's Legal College. Her valedictorian speech was somewhat controversial at the time, as it was quite serious, with a heavy focus on wealth inequality. This didn't go over well with the predominantly middle to upper class audience in attendance. The editor of the Herald at the time said, Ruby, unsatisfied by simply earning her place at Mideastern with a full scholarship, went on to earn a captive audience of her peers with a perfect GPA. It felt like the ideal occasion for a celebration of an undoubtedly incredible individual. However, by the end of her speech, there were many in the audience that wished that neither of those events had transpired. It was a passionate attempt to use her soapbox to proselytize her fellow students and their parents into the religion of poverty, but unfortunately, judging by the silence, they remained unconverted. I have thoughts. Because it's the legal team organising all of the DNA testing. Where would I even find that? Where would I find that? Where was it? What was it here? No, I don't think it was here. Fuck. It was somewhere. There was something. Yeah, okay. Yeah, hired an outside legal trust. This included any other new questions of lineage. So this lady who hates the rich is now responsible for all of these, like, okay, these people are saying they're part of the Roottree family. She's responsible for doing all of the DNA testing, and we know that she doesn't like the rich. She grew up in foster care in Portland. Meanwhile, one of the people who was like, oh, I'm part of the Roottree family, grew up in foster care in Portland and had a really tragic background. Like, I have thoughts and questions. I have many thoughts and many questions. Okay. Oh yeah, and there's this. Cicely Sanchez. Okay. Cicely Sanchez is an author best known for Portrait of a Changed Man, released in 1979. Her follow-up, Foreign Gospel, 1984, did not perform as well critically, but still sold quite respectably. She has written a few more books since then, including a biography of Van Gogh, but her first two are her claim to fame. According to a site about authors, Cicely is known for her non-fiction with a focus on exploring darkness in the human psyche. Recently, Cicely appeared in a magazine called Picotee with an article about a book she had been commissioned to write for Guy Hudson. The magazine and Cicely herself were immediately issued a cease and desist due to its inclusion of pictures that she never had the rights to publish. The issue was pulled from store shelves, making it an instant collector's item. Okay, hello. Right, for you, Cicely. Yeah, I've spelled that right. Okay. She's an author. Portrait of a Changed Man. Foreign Gospel. Okay. A book she'd been commissioned to write for Guy Hudson. Okay, and let's... But no, it's a magazine! A pictory is a category of flower with an outline around the edge of its petals. But I've been... How are you spelling that? Picotee. and it's... Okay, there we go. There we go. In an issue that focused on talking toy fish and the demonic messages it supposedly said as the batteries ran low, Piketty had an article about a cancelled book by Cicely Sanchez. The book's subject was Guy Hudson, and the issue was said to contain pictures that Cicely did not have the rights to publish. Because of the pictures, this issue was pulled from store shelves, making it the subject... Oh, there goes my timer. There goes my timer. Making it the subject of some conspiracies and an instant collector's item. Due to this recall, the version found in these archives is incomplete. Okay, well that... Ooh. I do apologise if you can hear my stomach rumbling. I'm very hungry. I'm very hungry. Okay, well we have a lead. We have a lead right there. Okie doke. In the next episode, we follow it. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. A special thanks to my channel members, such as SM2K, Christopher K. Davis, CGG, and Kevin Bicknell. I've been Callista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.